enthusiastic about sports, games, outdoor activities in general. I'm excited to see a lot of show of hands because I just saw the cyclathon video, and I also saw that a walkathon was done to promote this event, which was very heartening for me because I wanted to talk about sports, and I wanted to talk about sports beyond the playing field. So the story starts a little bit like this. As an infant, I was only a few months old. I met with an accident that had an impact on the head, and it caused an internal dilatation of the ventricles, which caused a compression on the brain. Now, at that young age, the only physical symptoms that manifested was there was a definite weakness, extreme weakness, hemiplegia on the left side of my body. So there was that, and then the doctors were very skeptical about further developmental issues that might occur because at that young age they couldn't be sure. So they were saying that it could impact the development of my speech, it could impact my IQ. So that was a very, very rough period for my family because it was a wait and watch situation. Like they had to let it play out over the next 5 years. There were follow-ups, there were CT scans, there were MRIs, there were repeated visits to the child psychiatrist to check my IQ. And while all this was happening, occupational therapy was one of the cornerstones. It was critical to ensure that the lasting impact of this challenge could be minimized. So at that point of time, my parents introduced at a very, very young age sports and outdoor activities into my daily routine. And it is because of that lifestyle that my parents induced at a very young age that today at the age of 24 I have won my first international medal, like you heard. I won my first international medal. So I won my first international medal at the World TEDxGRD, and that's me receiving it there. That was a big moment for me. Now there is a similar story, well, not really similar, like maybe this times 100. This is the lady I want to talk to you about. About roughly 16 years ago, she had a spinal cord tumor removal surgery which left her paralyzed, and the prediction was that she will have to live out the rest of her days confined to a wheelchair, confined to a room, because that is about the range of the movement that she had there. But she decided to take up swimming as a rehabilitative measure, and through that she eventually got into sports, took up para sports, and because of that she has travelled around the world today on her own merit, won 13 international medals, and she has not just that, she has records, world records in adventure sports. She has driven a car on the highest motorable road in the Himalayas, and she has been conferred the highest national award for sports by the President of India. And the cherry on the cake is that she is my mother, and I'm very proud to share that. So the essence is that this is the power of sports. It's not about the medals, it's not about the position, it's not about who finishes first, second or third. It's about the fact that sports has this capability to empower lives beyond the playing field, beyond the stadium. And together we realize this, and together we realize that introducing outdoor activities for people with disabilities gives them a sense of confidence, gives them a sense of self-esteem, and above all, it fights social taboos. Because for us, in a country where unfortunately, even today, disability is considered a curse. There are myths surrounding disability which say that disability is a curse. It is a consequence of bad karma in the previous birth. But here we are today, two people with that curse in the same family. But today we are recognized as achievers. We are having a great time traveling around the world. So we decided to take that learning from our lives and make it reach out to as many people as we could. And that's the ideology that we follow with the Building Happiness Foundation. Because sports provides for, it kind of provides for safe spaces where people can come out and they can engage in social interactions, they can develop peer groups, which they otherwise may be deprived of, because a lot of times if somebody has a challenge, their family wants to keep them protected within the confines of the familiar home environment. So what we do is we organize outdoor activities, and we also support people and encourage people to take up para-sports. Para-sports basically is competitive sports for people with challenges. Could be mental challenges, could be physical challenges. So we assist people in taking up those sports. We assist people in taking up adventure activities. For an example, recently there was a bike festival that was organized in New Delhi, and we led this group of physically challenged motorists, people who ride those modified three-wheeled scooters, usually just looked at as disabled people who have found this alternate way to commute. But when they rallied to that bike festival on those scooters, and once they reached there, and they had that experience of traveling that distance, it made them feel like riders. It made them feel like somebody engaging in an adventure sport activity. And what was more, it was encouraging for the people who saw this. And that's a person with polio in his lower limbs performing a stunt. So he actually was the star of the day, and he was a biker, and he had that feeling of belonging to the rider community once he was there. Similarly, there's a lady who has quadriplegia. She wanted to take up driving. She was very inspired. She wanted to participate in motorsport activity. So we assisted her to learn driving. We assisted her, and it's not just, I mean, for us maybe it's a 15-day course to pick up the basic skills and techniques, and you can drive. For a person with a challenge, it's way much more than that, because you have to first make yourself physically fit enough with whatever capabilities you do have, and then you can take on that challenge. So she completed that rally, she learned to drive, she completed that rally, and the sense of confidence that it gave her and the stamina that it gave her eventually led to her taking up a routine 9-to-5 job, which she can now carry out with perfectly as any of us do, and she also has a sense of independence. She drives herself to work. So that is where you take sports and you see the impact outside of the stadium. I want to come to that a little later. So here, when I'm talking about sports, the United Nations describes sports as any form of physical activity that leads to physical well-being, mental well-being, and social interaction. And I'm pretty sure that most of us at some point in life has either experienced a challenge or at least encountered people with challenges. Data indicates the numbers to be something like 1 in 6 people in Asia have faced a disability, And it is important to care about this number. It is important to have compassion about this number, because denying access, denying inclusive environments to people with challenges is a violation of a very, very basic human right. So with that broad definition of sport and what it means, you will understand that it is not just about participating in organized sport with some ultimate goal of winning medals. Years ago, when I was volunteering with an orphanage, they brought in this group of AIDS-affected children that they had rescued, sex workers children born with AIDS that they had rescued and brought in. Now they were looking at how to assimilate these people, these kids with the existing kids in the orphanage, and how to also combat the stigma that surrounded HIV and AIDS. And what they did was they organized football matches. They mixed them up, divided them into teams, and that led to a great sense of team spirit and camaraderie, and that kind of eased themselves together to kind of come together and be able to go have a game. So that was another beautiful example. This is a wheelchair race that happened. This was recently in the city of Gwalior. It was in collaboration with an NGO called Roshni. They organized this inclusive sports day event where students from mainstream schools as well as special schools participated together. So it was a very beautiful, beautiful thing to see the way they were cheering each other on and supporting each other. And from that day, one of the lessons to be learned was that if people with and without disabilities are engaged together in the same program, it can lead to a lot of understanding and compassion for each other, and it can prevent social exclusion that happens in the society. What I want to say with all of this is that this is a contribution that each of us can make in our own small way. It could be something as small as escorting a person with a disability to the park, and just letting them interact with people there, forming a social circle. That is something each one of us can do. Now talking of how the sense of empowerment and confidence of independence that it instills, you can imagine how this girl here feels. She's receiving a trophy. And not just that, when I look at her, when I was speaking with her, she has participated in and completed 2 marathons. That is 2 more than most of us. And this boy here is Ashok. He has Down syndrome, and through years of socialization and interaction through sports and games, he is 23 years old right now. He is enrolled in mainstream education in the 7th grade. And with all the sensitization that he has received, in this picture, while this picture was being taken, he was actually telling me that he wants to study to be an architect so that he can ensure inclusive stadiums and movie halls, because those were his passions. It's like, I want to create inclusive stadiums and I want to create inclusive movie halls. And he has that sense of self-belief. He doesn't know, he is not marred by those biases and those things holding him back. He doesn't sit back and think, well, maybe I don't have the mental capacity, I don't have the intellect, will I be able to do it, will I not be able to do it? He is not held back by all of that. He has this immense self-belief with a lot of confidence he told me that that's what I'm going to do. So that's what sports does. And to conclude, I just want to say that this is something that each one of us can do, and this is a small contribution, a small difference that each one of us can make to society, and we can hold each other's hand, be compassionate, and make this difference without having to wait on any authorities, without having to wait on any policies to be made or implemented. And if at all, it will only be a persuasive factor, because the more people with challenges are seen out of the society, the more people in a country like India can be persuaded to ensure that inclusive environments are created.